Hey folks, welcome to the podcast. So we're doing a special series of podcasts which I'm recording over Google Hangouts. So we're doing audio and video because for some unknown reason, people don't want to come see me face to face right now. But there's always opportunity, and the cool thing is I'm able to now podcast with people from all over the world. So we're going to get an amazing eclectic mix of people from different industries, different perspectives to share their story and tell us, their thoughts and feelings on what's going on right now and all of that cool stuff. I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe in all the usual places and enjoy. Hey folks, welcome to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Laurence Kemball-Cook, who is the founder of Pavegen. Laurence, how you doing?
Hey guys, really excited to be here today. I'm doing wonderful today in being stuck at home, and as I guess you are too. I'm admiring your paintings in the background of our video chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Little hearts, love theme. You've got a nice bag. A little cactus, a little bit of art, nice lamb.
I've tried to make the jungle in my house as much as I can, which is good.
Nice coving as well in the ceiling.
It's all about coding, right? You don't get coding in offices. Definitely not my one.
No. I think we've got some decent. I've got some decent coding up there. There you go. All like that.
We've turned into Architects Anonymous and analysing interior design schematics of people's houses.
How are you finding working at home?
Yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. I recently moved house, and I'm in a very quiet part of London. And
nice.
The world. I hear ambulances a lot and helicopters flying over my head to King's College Hospital, but apart from that, it's quiet and I can focus and really get a lot done at the moment.
Yeah. Can you see your working style change then? Once we can go back to work, can you see yourself working a bit more at home, or?
I think it's weird that we've all had this video conferencing technology available for a long time. Zoom's been around for a while, but people haven't really used it en masse. But now, my 70-year-old mother is a yoga teacher, and she now runs digital yoga lessons with her 20 plus students, and they're loving it. She's doing 2 or 3 Zoom conference calls a day, and she's learned how to do breakout rooms now. But ultimately, I think that business owners are realizing that office space isn't absolutely necessary to having a successful business. So I think that we'll see people being more friendly towards working at home because, hey, if it works now, why can't it work in 2 years' time?
Yeah. And also office space, especially if you're in London, is expensive. I mean, so you probably don't need a desk per person.
Well, I think people have been talking about hot desks, and that has been one fad that has been, I think, frowned upon by most people. Finding, Gary from floor 3 is now sitting in his seat when you were really excited about looking through the window. But ultimately, you don't need offices, and people can be as productive from home. I don't think it's forever, and I do look forward to seeing my team again in the flesh. But it does work, and I think we'll see more companies doing this.
Yeah, I think the key thing is people will have some choice, because still humans need human contact, and it's quite depressing being at home for long stretches of time without proper human contact. So
yes, we're really into the idea of we've got to improve employee mental well-being and also physical well-being. So we'll do things like we'll have a hangout on a Friday and we'll all have drinks together, or we'll just have a check-in hangout at 1:30 for lunch, and anyone could join who wants. And I think it's really important to monitor that and check on people, because it's hard. Hey, everyone has a bad day. If I watch the news too much, my day goes real bad real quick. So I think it's about balancing yourself out in the right kind of way.
Yeah, I'm not watching the news or reading it. A diet of negativity in the morning is definitely not good for you.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, there's nothing in there that I need to know right now. It's COVID.
Yeah, I think those important messages, like supporting social distancing and supporting our NHS, they're there. They run throughout on every media platform. But beyond doing and enforcing, what the hard work the government's doing, I don't think there's much else to be gained from it. I'm really enjoying. I'm doing a morning cycle, doing 50k every morning through central London, which is near where I live, and for no longer than an hour, but. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's quiet. I don't see anyone. I don't see any cars. I've never seen this in my 30 plus years of being in London. I've never seen the city so quiet. And there are some special things to come of it that you can really appreciate have gratitude for.
50K in an hour is great going. No
Yeah,
traffic
well,
on the
so I
road.
mean, I don't want to say that I've done it more than an hour because that'd be against the guidelines, but
Absolutely,
it
absolutely.
may have run over slightly.
It's quite weird. Like, go.
I was going to say, hopefully when this comes out, social distancing will be removed and I won't have the police turning up at my door saying I went out for a too
Oh, no,
long
no,
bicycle
definitely
ride.
not. Definitely not. But it's interesting. I'm learning a lot of, as probably you are, some like interesting leadership like lessons, and certainly like staying in touch with the team, thinking about their health, the physical aspect as well. I'm doing, like your mum actually, I do a little yoga, but I'm doing an online CrossFit every day. I'm feeling stronger and fitter than
Amazing.
ever.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what you can do with all those burpees. You'd never before would you have done that, right?
I'm finished with burpees.
Yeah, or you'd be out late at dinner and drinks, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
maybe be out for every day. But now it's like there's no excuses. You're
No.
just at home. So I think it's
also,
a really good time for self
yeah,
development.
definitely. Because also when you're going to work, you've got the commuting time there and back. Then you tend to go to a gym or you go to a yoga studio, and so balancing that in your diary is like sometimes quite challenging if you've got others to think of, partner and whatever. Now suddenly you've got so much free extra time to do stuff with. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
great for everyone, right?
Need to keep up. So what's your story? How are you doing what you're doing?
Well, I guess my story is so we make paving slabs that generate energy, and when you walk on the floor, it converts your weight to electrical power, but it also produces data, so we can generate insights from your footstep. Now, we're trying to change the way people look at energy, but I guess my story is stepping back. I did a placement, like an internship at E.ON, so one of the largest energy companies in Europe. I was working there, and they said to me, Laurence, we'd like you to build us a streetlight powered by solar energy and powered by wind. So off I went, trying to build a solar powered streetlight. Now, it was for cities. And the problem in our cities is that you don't get very good sunlight all day long because the buildings are tall. And solar and wind work very well in a desert, out at sea, on a rooftop, but not in a city. So I actually failed at E.ON. Okay, and I
Right.
got fired. So hanging my head in shame, I left E.ON thinking, I was an engineer, and I thought I've screwed up. I didn't make it work. So I kept thinking about this problem of energy in cities, and I returned to Loughborough University where I was
Right.
studying industrial design and technology. And I thought, what if there is a solution that is literally under our feet? What if it's all around us? So I spent a year at Loughborough building prototypes, and I was lucky to win like 5K in funding from the Royal
Amazing.
Society of Arts. And 5K at that time was phenomenal. Like that's probably is the same as what we could do now with 500,000. It went really far.
Wow.
And I left uni, got lots of interest in the product, and decided to launch it. I spent 5 years in my bedroom prototyping it in South London. And the problem was no one would invest because we didn't have any revenue. The other challenge was we hadn't got any proof points of our product, so no one would buy it because they hadn't seen it working before. So it's real chicken and egg stuff. And it was incredibly challenging. And what happened was the government looked at it and they were going to see if they could help develop it. And they said, look, we've got an expert. And the expert called me up and said, look, it will never work, give up. I was like, oh my God. Then I had a load of VCs and they were like, no, Laurence, it will never work, don't bother. And then my university tried to steal it from me and then say, give us the majority of the company. And so everything was stacked against me. And, I believe that entrepreneurs should be bold and confident and really make their own luck, essentially. So I thought, okay, I spent 5 years building this prototype, making it robust, engineering it super well. And I thought, well, let's go and install it somewhere. So at 2 a.m., me and a friend installed it illegally in the South Bank in London.
Right.
So there's a big fence. We throw the prototype over the fence. We have cement mixers, buckets, water, pickaxes, all the equipment we need. We dig a hole in the ground. We cement it in place. We plug in the floor. So when you stand on the floor, simply put, one step will produce anywhere from 1 to 10 seconds of light. And if lots of people walk, you get light, right? So we installed it at South Bank, plugged into lighting, looked good. And the next day on our website, we said, the future of energy is here. And I put a picture. Nice. And Westfield Mall called me and said, hey, did you do an installation last night? And I was like, yeah. They said, did it work? I said, yeah. They didn't ask me, was it illegal or not? So that's important. And we closed a significant 6-digit deal off the back of that news with them. So I went from a crazy inventor in my bedroom through to someone who had to go and hire a team and make a product work. And then, that was the start of it. And my journey really started from there.
Amazing. And so did Westfield give you an order? Was that your first order?
Exactly. Yeah. The 6-digit deal was an order to be installed at the Olympic Park Westfield site.
Nice. So this was what? So this was obviously after the Olympics. So what are we talking, like 24?
Yeah. So it was around like 2011, 2012 time.
Perfect. And what did that enable you to do? So you started then, you could actually build a business from that.
Yeah. So we knew that it was really exciting to have a floor that generated energy. We knew that the markets were anywhere where people walk. So you've got offices, stadium, transport hubs. These include airports, train station, schools. There's so many places you can use Pavegen. We have I have dairy farms trying to buy it off me. I have horse training paddocks where they want to use it. People powered playgrounds. Like, the opportunity is endless. Wherever people move or animals move, you can use it. So we realized, key markets, transport and offices and so forth, and cities. So started the company, really started developing the product. Now, it's one of the harshest areas in the world to engineer, the floor. You've got vandalism, you've got huge temperature fluctuations, you've got massive forces going through it. And then you've also got a product that needs to be to generate energy from as many people as possible, and needs to generate energy from you, but also a very small child. So you've got to calibrate it and everything. So we spent another 5 years, almost, it feels like that, engineering the product to make it work. And if you, for example, I have to make the product work in minus 30 degrees centigrade, but I also have to make it work at 70 degrees centigrade, which is how hot it gets in the Middle East when the sun is on it all day. So it's one of the toughest engineering challenges known to man. And that's what we've been doing now. It's in 36 countries so far. We've had over 500 million steps on the Pavegen to date. And we've also been lucky enough to work with some of the largest companies in the world, and also on some of the biggest or the biggest buildings projects in the world, including right now working on the biggest building project on the world today. So there's some really exciting projects that come out of it, and we've got a team in London and Cambridge, and it's something that I never thought it would have got to this point. I dreamed of it, but now it really is, and the momentum is strong, and we're bringing out new products all the time. So there's lots you can do with a kinetic energy floor.
I think it's great. I mean, often you see the biggest thing, people give up just before they make it. And a lot of the time when you're starting a business, patience is really key. And you've taken, 10 years, it sounds like, to really persevere, get the product, get the sales, overcome all of these obstacles. And full credit, now it seems to be really paying off.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship got cool around. I feel like entrepreneurship got cool when everyone heard who Zuckerberg was. I'm not condoning Zuckerberg,
modern day rock stars,
but it was a phenomenon back in the day. And I think what we need to be really careful of is that we see so many stories about, so and so built a company and 1 year later he had $1 billion, and there's always going to be the WhatsApps of this world and these amazing unicorn stories, but very few businesses are actually like that. And it does take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And there are amazing things that can come out of it, but they do take time. And as long as the market has to be right and the timing. Whenever I work with a business now, I say, look, make sure you're on a rising tide. Make sure you're sitting on something that is going to have exponential growth, and your life will be good. We were selling sustainable technology before sustainability was a thing, and now. I always use a reference of the head of sustainability in a company was a dirty word back in the day, and they were left in the cellar next to the accountants, and no one wanted to speak to them. Apart from one day, they had a corporate report, and they phoned up the sustainability person and said, "Give me something for my corporate report." But now that person is often on the board. And hey, that person is a woman as well now, which is even better. So we're getting gender equality, sustainability, but it is all changing. But back in the day, oh my God, no one cared. And so we're really seeing a big shift in a mega trend, if you like, around connectivity, sustainability, and urbanization.
No, it's great. I mean, you've done like what most people can't do, is you've developed a new product in a new industry and made it work. I mean, the other thing to mention for other entrepreneurs is you don't have to reinvent something. You know, you can just do something slightly better than someone else is doing already. And the other thing with your market analogy, I always think it's like the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Is you want to open the cupboard and walk into Narnia, not a broom cupboard. It needs to be big enough that you can really attack it and make some good money.
Yeah, but also small businesses and small markets in a niche can still be incredibly exciting. I mean,
True.
a really good example is a friend of mine called Michael Korn, has a company called Quick Screen, and it's a dividing screen that goes into hospitals. So you pull this screen out and you have an immediate divider. This guy's been going for a similar amount of time to me and ticking along, exciting business, but recently they just delivered in every single Nightingale hospital as part of the government's COVID response.
Amazing.
Because they can make makeshift cubicles that are quick. And so like right now is their time to shine. And I think if you're focusing on like one small area, get really good at it, know more about it than anyone else. And then at the right time, you can really start to flourish. It doesn't need to be, you know, the next Coca-Cola, and not that we condone Coca-Cola on the show today, but as an example, you know, it doesn't need to be that. It can be something that can be, you know, as simple as an innocent smoothie that then turns into a complete, you know, conglomerate almost in what they've done and changed the way people look at fitness and health as well.
Definitely. No, definitely. So going back to your product, how does it actually generate electricity and work?
So the Pavegen tile, when you walk on the floor, converts your weight to electrical power. Now it does that because the downward force goes into a circular motion. So it's like a flywheel. So the downward force spins a flywheel. This flywheel spins from 2 to 10 seconds. And every time you stand on it, that flywheel is generating energy through magnets and electromagnetic induction. That generates power that's then stored in batteries. Now, we can store that energy for several days and then use it to power lighting. So a really good example is outside the White House in Washington, D.C., in an area that's called the DuPont Circle. We have 10,000 people walking a day, and this powers the lights for 4 to 10 hours, depending on how many people walked. So we get around 10,000 people on average. There will be around 5 hours of illumination from people walking. But we also produce data. So what I realized is I put my first installation in Heathrow Airport, and I'll describe the tile to you for the listeners out there. The tile, the first tile we built was a rectangle that was green, bright green. Then we changed it to a triangle because it was much more efficient, 200 times more efficient at capturing energy from people's steps.
The triangle?
Yeah, the triangle design of the floor when you walk on it.
Why is that?
Well, the reason is a rectangle. If you imagine, you may have a book or business card on your desk. If you stand on a rectangle and it bends, the corners are fixed, whereas we made a mesh of triangles. So wherever you walked on the triangle would depress. It has to move. And it meant that wherever you walked, the triangle would, at one corner would drop down, so you don't lose any footsteps. So we put the rectangle into Heathrow, and we realized that we only captured maybe half the steps because the rest were on the corners of the rectangle. And so, but what I did see is I saw kids would see the floor from 100 meters away, and they'd run as fast as they could to them and then jump up and down on it. And they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what it was. But I realized that we'd almost created the gamification of energy. And was that even a good thing? You know, do you want kids to be running on it? Then I saw old people saw it and would jump on it. And then I saw people outside the White House would spend their lunch break eating their sandwich, but jumping up and down all the time. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm powering my city. I'm powering my city. And the reason people really love the fact that they are doing something, it might be small. Like Pavegen's not going to power the world, but what it does do is give people this tremendous ownership. So we realized we created this magnetic thing on the floor that people really wanted to interact with. And now what we do is we generate data that allows us to do things like donate the energy of a footstep. So you can walk on a floor and then pay that step forward. Imagine if every time you shop and go, at the moment during Corona times, we're queuing outside supermarkets. Imagine if you could queue for the supermarket on the floor, and every step you made donated £1 to the NHS to buy PPE. And a brand like American Express would put their logo on the floor and then facilitate that donation. So we believe that we're the future of allowing people to make a difference through the power of a human step. And that's kind of the basis that we're working towards now.
We need to get on that. We need to get on that straight away.
Yeah, if anyone knows anyone of a big supermarket, we'd love to put some free Pavegens down and help to make a change.
There'll be someone listening. That's brilliant stuff. How long does it take you to install it?
Well, the first Pavegen I ever installed took me about 2 days to install one.
And you did it on your own?
I was doing, and I was figuring it out. And then a year later, the Paris Marathon came to me and said, Laurence, we'd like to cover the width of the Champs-Elysees. So it's like Avenue Foch that leads up to the Champs-Elysees.
I've done the Paris Marathon.
Oh, have you done it?
Yeah.
How did you find it?
Well, compared to London, the crowd isn't as friendly. But it's funny. You run in London, everyone's like, "Come on!" and they're shouting your name, and your name's on your chest and stuff. In France, the crowd were like, "I think I can do it better than you. You're not running very fast."
Because you've got a British name, and the French
probably
aren't friendly for the Brits.
They could just see I was English.
I think I always find that whenever you have a British name, the Brits are the ones that always shout to you. Like wherever you are in the world, the Brits see you and they're like, "I'm going to."
But I thought, they could say Lewis, maybe named after King Louis. But then, that didn't
change
go well.
Change your name to be, Louis or Pierre, and you'd be fine next time.
That'd have been fine. But the actual marathon was lovely. But sorry, carry on with the story. So she did your
task. So it's a cobbled street, and they said, Laurence, how long will it take you to install it? And I was like, I'm not sure. They said, can you do it in 6 hours? And I was like, yeah, I can do it in 6 hours. So I went away, I totally freaked out. And I spent a lot of time trying to work out how the hell do you install the width of a road that also has a camber, which means it's bent. And it had a big curve on it. And I went away, I got the British Gurkhas to help me. And we ended up, we covered the entire width of the road in 55 minutes. Wow. So you can do it really quickly. So we work in 2 ways. One, you can install it on top of an existing floor. And then 2, you can actually dig up the floor. And that's perfect on a new build. But when it's like an existing structure, it's just drop it on top and no one knows that they've walked up a little bit. It's only about this high. So it's 10 centimeters high. So, a couple of inches high. So it's quite slim.
Yeah. And I guess overall, it's like low cost, right? I mean, they need to install it. The electricity's free.
Yeah. I mean, our business model is interesting, right? So we compare it to Tesla. Okay, so the problem with hardware is you don't get economies of scale on day one. So how we work is the product itself is expensive to manufacture. We're hand making them in London. Okay, so London is renowned for low cost mass production. It's renowned for other things, but not for production. But we make it in the UK because we're trying to make the best possible product we can. We're developing it. I've made over 700 production prototypes so far.
And are you like 3D printing them, or how are you?
Yes, some elements will be 3D printed. Because it's a really hard wearing environment, we'll actually do things like CNC with a 5-axis machine from a solid lump of aluminium or steel. Will be our prototypes. So we typically find that rapid prototyping won't be strong enough to withstand abuse on the floor. But what we'll do is we'll make it in the UK, we'll refine it, we'll make it as efficient as we can, and then we'll potentially then move the production overseas. But we would like to keep it in the UK for as long as we can. But then obviously the price point drops, because my aim is, although Pavegen isn't really low cost today, we aim to make it the same price as normal flooring one day, which means that you can put the floor down for free. And then you can donate the energy from people walking in famous tourist spots around the world, in every supermarket and every office around the world. Your steps can count and make a difference. And we really believe in the data that's generated from the floor. So it will speak to the cloud. You can understand how many people are walking. And the most important thing about it is the data we get is permission based. So we're not stealing information from people. We're actually a way that you go, hey, if you want to donate that £1 or that $1 from your footstep, can you just tell me like roughly how old you are, please? And it's like a fair exchange of value between the consumer and the corporation.
Back to your Tesla thing, like, if I can drive my Tesla over my Pavegen and generate my electricity to power my car, that'd be awesome.
Well, yeah. So we've done a partnership with Tesla. They gave us an early Model 1, and we were driving the car over the Pavegen. Now, one of them broke. I'm not going to say which one we broke, but I think Elon Musk was a bit pissed off, and we returned the car to him.
Oh, the car broke, or your product?
I'm not going to comment exactly on who broke or what, but there was some damage, and I do like to test things to destruction. But in the future, I think that we could take our kinetic technology. It takes the movement of people, a small amount of movement. I think we could take that and we could use it in vehicle traffic. So we have the ability to take it into roads, and you could use the energy of people driving into a car park. You could use that to power the lights in the car park itself. You could use a toll booth that would be self-powered from everyone driving through the toll. You could power all the street lights in certain areas of the city from the vehicles driving down a single street. So there's some amazing use cases once you can scale this technology up.
Amazing. I saw you did a little one at I'm not saying little, maybe at University of Birmingham, my old uni.
Yes, yeah. So we've actually, University of Birmingham, we've got an installation that charges phones as students walk past, and then also powers lights
As they walk past. So what, like wireless charging style?
So we've actually got some benches that are right next to it. So the people at the benches can sit and chill and plug their phone in, and then connect to the tiles. And it's a benefit because it's like an off-grid solution. You don't need to run hundreds of meters of cable to this like remote area in the middle of the uni. You can actually just do the power where and when it's needed and make it really easy to do.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Back to kind of, we touched at the beginning, but how you like manage your time, and you talked a bit about yoga and obviously running a company, doing what you do. You got a lot of stuff going on. How do you like organize yourself and organize your day?
So I think that definitely there's other people out there who are going to have a 4 a.m. wake up and like a minute by minute rundown of exactly how they have their schedule. I think I'm definitely more relaxed than that. But the way I like to do it, I think it's really important to do exercise in the morning to get ready for the day and move through it. I think that one thing we've got a really strong like management team. So we make sure that daily, like first thing check-ins with all of the team heads. So sales, technology, operations, to make sure that works. And I think that the key thing to growing a business like this is you've got to spin lots of plates, and you've got to keep them all spinning, and you can't have any wobble, and they've all got to be spinning. And that might be, you spend so much time developing this new product that you're really passionate around, you forgot to do any marketing around that launch, or you forgot to keep your investors updated. So there's a massive challenge around how to keep those stakeholders involved. And I think a big part of what I'm doing on a daily basis is stakeholder management. We've got over 2,000 investors in the business. We're backed by the richest two men in the UK according to the last rich list. So the Hedunja brothers are investors in the company. So we've got some great investors, and they help us, and we work with them really closely. So a lot of it is working with those guys. I'm pretty close to the sales and marketing, and then oversee some of the technology aspects. So it's really a balance of all those things every day, but you've got to come at it with a really positive headspace, because not every day is good. You don't go smiling every single day. It may look like from the outside, especially entrepreneurs, when they speak, that everything they touch turns to gold. Like, no way. It's
not in reality.
Like that. There's a hell of a lot of suffering behind the scenes to make something work. And that's what we're really absolutely focused on is of making and finessing what we're doing to make the business as ready for scale as possible.
Awesome. Have you ever had a mentor?
Yeah, so one of my main mentors, you may know him, is a guy called Will King, the founder of King of Shaves.
Yeah.
So the guy started like a 23 million revenue razor company against the likes of Gillette. And he's always been a guide for me to help me
Great.
through some of the tough times. And I think it's so important for entrepreneurs, especially when they're going through like a crazy journey at the beginning, to have people that have been through that journey too, that
Yeah,
can help them. And he's pretty good for keeping me level-headed when
that's really
times
good.
are tough.
Have you always had a mentor like that? Always someone just to kind of chat to, talk about like the issues, and just someone that's like unconnected to the business?
Yeah, so I think I'm a solo founder, and the challenges
Yeah.
of that are that it can be incredibly like lonely, because you can't talk to your team like you would a fellow founder maybe who started with you. And I know a lot of really strong businesses do have a co-founder, which can sometimes be really beneficial. But I think that in the early days, no, I didn't. So that was hard, and I went through lots of development, but the hard kind of development, the kind of,
Yeah.
oh, I worked for 20 hours straight for 2 weeks and then burnt out super hard, or
Right.
like I just tried to doing too much and just thinking that you're invincible and can work
Yeah.
all hours, and that you just really learn that that isn't efficiency. Efficiency is a balance of everything, and making sure that you're mentally balanced, physically balanced, and
Yeah.
then you can perform to your to 100%.
Definitely. Yeah, when I started my business, I actually didn't have a mentor to start with either, but I had a few other friends that had started businesses around the same time. And I didn't realize it at the time, but we used to call each other every week at the end of the week. It was like, how's your week been? What have you done? And it kind of like just holds you to account a little bit. It's really nice to just build that support network.
Oh,
And
100%. I think the power of the tribe is
yeah,
something really important. So Emma Sinclair taught me that. She's one of the youngest women, or the youngest woman to IPO in the world, and she's based in London. And she's always been like one of the elders in the entrepreneurship scene, who has always kind of taught me the power of the tribe. You know, if I can give
yeah,
back 5% of my time to the community, when I need them, there'll be that 5% from them to help me. And some of the most exciting things we've done have
yeah,
been through other founders to founders, but it's checking in, it's supporting each other, it's making sure that everyone's kind of in this entrepreneurship hug together, being looked
yeah.
after.
No, definitely. Because when you're going through it, you're like, it kind of gets all consuming. And when you step back, you realize actually everyone's going through a very similar journey, similar challenges. The sectors might be different, the industries might be different, but some of the main challenges are the same. It's
Oh
always
yeah,
nice.
I think a really common thing I see is if I'm like mentoring a new CEO with a really exciting business, they're literally in this trench, looking straight ahead, just 10 centimeters, and focusing on this one little challenge and getting really worried about it. And I remember that I was that guy, and all I did was
Yeah,
look at that. And then you can really help to like bring them up and give them the big picture thing,
yeah,
rather than them really, worrying about a voiceover for weeks for like their new video, when actually
yeah,
forget about it, move on. There's so many other things to tackle, and
yeah,
it's just like a one example of how
yeah.
things can really help if you just step out of it a bit.
Definitely. It sounds like you're a mentor as well.
Yeah, so
So
I work. Yeah, I
yeah,
work with a few companies. I've invested in a few businesses where I see a journey similar to my own, and
yeah,
maybe like a similar kind of area that's in the kind of sustainability, anything to
great.
do with green technology that involves building stuff, which is generally really hard and painful. Is certainly a good one to get involved in.
That's your gig. Could you see yourself if you went back 10 years or so doing what you're doing now? Is this what you always wanted to do, or did you kind of just like you did uni, sounds like you did engineering, and you kind of you tried some things worked, some things didn't.
I think I've always been like entrepreneurial, and I didn't plan to do this. I actually planned to leave university, and I had lined up an internship in New York to work for like an amazing architecture firm that was designing all the street furniture in New York. And at the time that was amazing, and the idea was really cool. But I guess Pavegen just started flying, and I thought, let's do this. Like
Yeah,
let's go and drop everything. But I think that being an entrepreneur is something that has always suited my skill set. I think I'm a designer, and as a designer, design is not a linear process, right? So it's very similar to building a company. You've got to be working on multiple things, building it together. I'm not a natural finance guy, but I guess I have to learn about the
yeah,
joys of sitting on a P&L for 2 hours with a CFO. But I think those things can be learned and taught if you've got the right mindset to start off with.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks for joining me. Great chat. When all these supermarkets listen to this, how can they find you?
So we're on pavegen.com,
Yeah.
and also Twitter is a really good one for us. So at Laurence KC, Laurencekc. Yeah, tweet us. We'd love to help. We want to find a way
Awesome.
to make a difference. So thanks so
Amazing.
much. Really enjoyed speaking today.
Pleasure. No, thanks a lot for joining me. Keep up the great work. Sounds awesome. And look forward to checking in again soon.